So, welcome to today's From Downward Spiral to Upward Spiral. And we're going to work on turning overwhelm into opportunity here. And I'm going to say a little bit about stress and trauma and what it does in our brain and in our behaviors. And then Sky is going to share something really cool with us, give us a little experience. Okay. So one of the things that's important to know is that we have a lower brain and higher brain. It's kind of an oversimplification, but our lower brain is like our brain stem, which is like our lizard brain. It's just very basic survival. And then our limbic system is our emotional center. It's like our inner 2-year-old. And it does a lot to try to protect us from harm. It's often considered the ego center of the body because sometimes the way it responds to things is from a very childlike perspective. And that part of the brain activates faster than the logical part of the brain, which is why when we get triggered, we have very much more irrational reactions in our bodies before our logical brain is able to take over and be like, don't say that.
Don't do that.
Don't eat that. Anyway, so when we're in a situation where there's heightened hypervigilance, which is basically something that happens in our brain when there's a lot of stress. So it can happen on an individual level of trauma, but also on a collective level, such as in a viral pandemic or, something like that. So one of the things is we love positive thinking, we love logic, but the lower brain doesn't get logic. It doesn't very well. So when someone has been through trauma or a lot of emotional stress, there are a couple ways to address that part of our brain, and it's either top down or bottom up. So Sky and I like to go bottom up, then top down. That's what we find works the most for people. Bottom up is when you actually go somatic. Somatic just means of the body. So when you actually get embodied and in your body and let yourself feel. Because if you don't feel your emotions, if you try to be like, I'm just going to think positive thoughts and I'm going to use logic to not feel this thing that feels really crappy, usually stuffing down emotion just makes it come out sideways later at someone else or in terms of some kind of behavior that doesn't serve us. So when Sky is we're going to do an exercise in a minute on that. And then top down is more like cognitive behavioral therapy where we change our thinking. And so what Sky and I really find to be most effective is when we first go somatic, we get in our body, we embody and feel and process the emotions, feel the emotions. And then we get enough clarity that then our logical mind can come in and change thoughts to thoughts that are going to serve us more. So I'm just going to review very quickly before Sky gets started. I think most of us have heard of fight, flight, and freeze. So it used to be fight or flight, but then there's a lot of research on the freeze, which is kind of like playing dead on a primal level, right? So we all have our own version of that. So what does that look like? We might think of an animal that might be pretty obvious. That flight is literally running away, or fight is literally fighting, and freezing is like playing dead, right? So that's pretty obvious. But how do we do that in our daily modern lives, especially around the whole situation with this virus, the economic impact and the social impact? So some of these are going to be racing thoughts, maybe plotting an escape. I remember thinking for a moment, is there a country that's not doing this? Because I just want to go there. Mm-hmm. So racing thoughts, plotting an escape, any kind of escape. Anger and blame. So blaming politicians, blaming stupid people that aren't following the rules, blaming tourists for bringing stuff in or visitors, so just blame, projecting worst case scenarios into the future. So we're trying to prepare for some bad thing. And then another way we kind of fight things is rebellion, just not, the people who are like, oh, I don't want to follow the rules. I'm just going to do what I want. This is stupid, right? And a lot of this involves stuffing emotions. So flight would be more of an aversion or avoidance or denial. So that could be emotional eating, like stuffing emotions with food, sugar, using alcohol, cigarettes, drugs, medications to numb and avoid feeling. Zombie eating is when you just eat and you're not even tasting the food or even being aware of what you're eating. You just kind of eat like you're trying to fill the void, but it doesn't work and you just keep doing it. That's common in a lot of eating disorders, but it's also common in just stress and trauma because we're human. And on an evolutionary level, some part of our body might think there's a famine and we better start stockpiling calories, but it's also a way to stuff emotions and numb out. It's an avoidance strategy. And then Oh, another form of numbing out and denial or avoidance, another form of flight is binge watching TV and social media. So it's not bad to watch TV or movies, and it's not bad to be on social media, but when we kind of like check out and just go into like down a rabbit hole for hours, you know, that's another form of avoidance. And, you know, not to say we can't do that, but just to be aware. And then freeze would just be, you know, kind of like vegging out, or, you know, I don't know if anyone's ever been so upset they just curl up in a ball and stare at the wall, just sleeping away the day so you don't have to deal with things. Maybe thinking of things you could or should do, but not doing them, like letting your laundry and dishes pile up, or, you know, not taking out the garbage, or just things where you get so overwhelmed, you become paralyzed and you're not engaging in your daily functions. Hey, Jessica. Oh, and Marta. Oh, fun. Okay. So yeah, so that's my over.
For freeze also, like that can be in your physiology, like your gut can definitely like
Yeah, good
freeze
point.
up and not, you know, function properly.
Your brain, like you can't, like word recall memory, just where you're just like you can't even think straight or finish a sentence or remember what you were doing at the refrigerator, or why did I come out here. All right, so hey Tara. Oh, more people joining. Fun. This is like a party. Okay. All right, Skaya, so take it away. Tell us about the value of our emotions, please.
Yes. So I'm one of those people that historically, because it's something I've worked on a lot, I have a tendency to try to just like cover up and not deal with the emotional part of myself. And so for me, it usually comes through as pain, specifically as back pain. My gut is one of those that freezes up and stops working properly. So usually I have physical symptoms, but what I've learned over the years, as I've learned that my emotions are actually really important and that there's something that I need to feel and listen to, I've been able to basically start learning how to process and feel my emotions so that I can actually not get to that point where my body is trying to talk to me through pain. Because essentially, this is how our system, because we're very complex, right? We're more than just a physical body, we're consciousness. And how our consciousness basically gets our attention when we are thinking a thought or we're looping a thought, which is basically a belief, the way that we're choosing to see our current situation or our reality or ourself as a part of this reality in a way that isn't serving us and that is making us believe that things are not all okay. And so on a physiological level, our body gives us feedback through, like I said, it can be pain, it can be symptoms of disease. But on a more subtle level, it's actually just our emotional body. Our emotional body will speak to us. Because like, for instance, I'll just give you an example. When I first started figuring all this out, I realized that when I would walk into a room full of people, I would see myself through their eyes in a negative light. And so that didn't feel very good, right? So I would always walk into a big room of people and have like this kind of social anxiety feeling like, oh God, I'm feeling like I'm vulnerable and like people are judging me and all of these things. So that was my system showing me that like, hey, that's not like that way that you're seeing yourself, that's not really serving you. Like, how is that gonna allow you to make connections with these people and be part of the social group? And so what I've learned over the years is that it's really important to pay attention to whatever mind body habits show up for you, so that you can basically get the message and make the adjustments that you need to make to learn and grow about, learn about yourself and then grow in the process of learning about yourself so that you can live more in your flow and get the results that you're wanting out of life. And so the importance is to actually feel your emotions. So it's important to take the time every day, because every day is a different day, and every day is either an opportunity to check out, and freeze, like Tracy was sharing, or to actually like tune in and listen. And so what I'd like to do is just guide us all on a little guided journey inward into ourselves, where we can kind of just scan and just sort of see what's coming up for us, because I'm sure it's different for all of us. And some people have a much easier time feeling their emotions. Like some people, it's just like right there in their face. And some people, it's down a few layers and you may not even really be aware. Like, what am I feeling? I don't even know. So this is just an opportunity for you to take inventory, feel, listen and honor whatever's coming up for you right now in this moment with this situation. And also notice how there's like different layers to it, because you might, in this moment, you might be feeling good, like, oh, I have this community, this feels great. But then there also might be, some deeper grooves of anxiety happening because of the story of the pandemic that's happening right now, and all the different layers that come up around that. So as I guide you through this, just don't judge whatever you notice. Don't think that, oh, this is wrong, that I'm feeling this way, I should fix this or whatever. Just notice it and just feel it. Just give yourself permission to feel it, let it be there. And then later, Tracy's going to guide us through a process of actually being able to digest those emotions and then use them to shift the way that we're seeing this current situation. Okay? Yes, Tracy.
Logistical question.
Uh-huh.
Skynet started toying with the idea of maybe for the playback only sending an audio as opposed to faces, so that since we're going to talk about more vulnerable things, maybe if your face wasn't on the recording, who would feel safer if we just sent the audio out? Anyone? Okay. Okay. And then also that would allow, you don't have to, if you have your video off, you don't have to turn it on. But if you're only turning your video off because you don't want a video of you being sent to a bunch of people, then we invite you to turn your video on. It's up to you. Let's only send out the audio to people, and then your face won't be recognized, and we won't call anyone by their full name, their last name, or anything like that.
And also, if you feel like turning your video off just so you have a little more privacy, as you're feeling, that's totally fine too. And this is something that I like to do sometimes, just like laying on the floor or like, stretching or like doing some form of embodiment practice where I'm actually getting in my body. So if that feels like something you want to do, go for it. But I'm just going to invite everyone right now to sit up nice and tall and just find a comfortable seated position. Or like I said, you can get on the floor, lay down, whatever feels good for you. And then just go ahead and close your eyes. And just notice the alignment of your spine. Is there an adjustment you could make that would allow your head to stack up more nicely on your spine, taking some pressure off your neck and shoulders? Maybe you can take some shoulder rolls just to like get in your body right now. Just opening your chest, drawing your shoulders up, back, and down. And then just allow yourself to drop into your breath. Maybe inviting it to deepen. And just noticing the quality of your breath. Our breath is a reflection of our nervous system. So we can always start our body scan by noticing our breath. And it'll tell us so much about the state of our nervous system. And as we invite it to deepen and slow down, it'll give us more access to our subconscious and the feelings that we have in our body. And I want you to just start scanning through your body and noticing how things feel. Do you notice any areas of tension? Do you notice anywhere that your breath feels like it's not flowing, like maybe it's not going down into your belly? Do you have any pains, any aches, any joints that are talking to you? And then noticing how you're feeling on an emotional level. Again, the different layers of your day, and then this past couple of weeks with this situation, is there anything that's kind of been looping in your head that has a feeling to it? And just notice that feeling. And if you feel anything that feels really big and scary, or like something that maybe you've been avoiding, just let yourself be with it. Let yourself look at it. Let yourself feel the texture of it. Maybe notice where it is in your body. Again, we're not trying to get rid of any of these feelings. We're just noticing them. And maybe you're noticing a thought that correlates with it. Maybe there's like a downward spiral feeling. Just noticing how it feels when the mind is kind of looping in that downward spiral. Noticing the place behind your eyes, noticing any tension in your head, your forehead, your brow, maybe any tension in your jaw, shoulders. Just this very act of giving yourself this moment of letting whatever needs to come into your awareness. And it doesn't have to be all of it, but whatever wants to show up into your awareness, whatever you feel right now, this is perfect. You're giving it the space. You're honoring that it has a purpose and that it's trying to communicate something to you. It's trying to show you something. All right, now letting yourself come back to this moment and go ahead and open your eyes. And just encourage you that this is like a really good thing just to let yourself do. And it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be long. It can just be checking in with yourself, but giving yourself this time to just stop and pause and feel. And some of you that might help, like I said, to, get into your body or maybe get out onto a walk in nature or some other way that you can actually start kind of moving around in your body that can also help you to feel what's coming up for you. So, and if, of course, if you feel like you're having any trouble accessing, just feeling, we would love to chat with you just because everybody's different. And some people, can have a hard time accessing it. So again, even if that's what's coming up, don't judge yourself. So
Can't do it wrong.
can't do it wrong. It's just it's like starting an internal relationship with yourself, and some people it comes more naturally than others. So is there anything anyone wants to share about, like, something they're feeling maybe, or something they noticed maybe?
Yeah, if you guys could not be sure about, because aren't we all curious? Well, what did you experience? What did you experience? You know, if you could be a little unshy about sharing what we experienced, you can just unmute your microphone.
All right, go ahead, Anne.
You just, yeah, go ahead, Ann.
If you can figure that out.
It's bottom left corner.
Here, I'll unmute you. I got you. All right.
I still need to learn that magic power.
Yep. Okay.
Well, I had never put a word to all these feelings I've had until during that meditation, I realized I really am scared of some things and sad about some things. And I had never put a word to it. I've just been walking. I've been doing the physical stuff to try and block, you know. But because none of my family's here except my husband, I worry about my children and my mom and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I never put a word to it. I didn't realize I really had some fear, you know?
Yeah.
So I guess it's okay now I know it's okay to acknowledge that.
Yeah, it's not only okay, but it's like so vital, you know, because it's not like a mistake that you're feeling that. It's not like a problem.
Right.
It's yeah, honoring that part of ourselves is really important.
I had a good thought though too. I thought, wow, my kids are all adults now. They're all on the mainland. They all have a significant other, and I feel confident that we raise them, that they're going to have to figure this out. You know, they're taking care of themselves and they're trying hard to do what's best for the world and for their own self. So I can't control it all, and I have to trust that they have what it takes to take care of themselves. Anyway, thanks for letting me share that.
Yeah, thanks for sharing it. Yeah, I've noticed sometimes in that process of letting myself feel some of the more painful feelings, it can actually just start to like resolve itself. You know, it's like another thought can come in and show me like, oh well, actually, they're going to be okay, or I've given them so many tools, or it's beautiful how it's this it's like this journey. It's not like we have to try to fix the negative thoughts. It's more like the feelings are like showing us maybe like, oh well, that downward spiral is taking me in this direction, but really I want to feel hope. I want to feel good, and so it kind of shows us back to feeling good. Instead of just trying to bypass feeling bad or feeling fear or feeling desperation or anxiety. It's like you have to actually go through the whole process. That's why we have those emotions. Yeah.
Our brain, it's like an alarm, and so if your fire alarm's going off and you just take the battery out, which is what stuffing emotions is, it doesn't put out the fire. And so sensation is a messaging system of nature. And so if we don't listen, it's like a child. If a child has an unmet need, is it going to get quieter when you ignore it? It might eventually be pretty damaged by then, but usually it'll get louder and louder. Mom, dad, so it's like, that's what our bodies do. If we don't listen, if we don't receive the message, if our bodies don't perceive that we got the memo, they'll just get louder and louder through negative emotion and pain. And so sometimes we call it feel your way free, when we just just dive. It's almost like, I think of it as like when you zero in on pain and you really be with it, it's like you go through this wormhole and it opens up into this new freedom, this new expansiveness that you would have never gotten to if you didn't face that and move through it. Anyone else? What else did you guys feel or notice?
I just noticed with the prompt around breath that I wasn't even really feeling my body. I wasn't embodied. And so with that, with the guided prompts that Skya was doing, shoulders are having feelings. Oh, I'm not even breathing deeply. I hadn't been using my whole, or even a good percentage of my lungs for the type of breath I was using was quite shallow. And so thank you. Those were several very powerful prompts that worked well for me.
Thank you. Yeah, it's all in our bodies, you know. It's like it's not emotion or physical. It's like it's all one. We're both simultaneously. We're our thoughts and our body simultaneously.
Every thought and emotion has a corresponding sensation, and every sensation will trigger some kind of thought or belief pattern.
Mhm.
A couple more people want to share, por favor.
Hi.
Hi, Tara.
Hi. Yeah, thank you guys for having this and helping us reset. um, what I was feeling was like how much like this is in a knot right now. And you know, thinking about that, I was like, okay, well, this is like our power source, you know, and so right now, like for me, I can sense like this weight of like powerlessness of like, okay, this is like so much bigger than any one of us. And so like feeling that like weight and that tightness. And as I, you know, was thinking about that and reflecting on that, it's like, okay, well, what can we do to have power? And recognizing throughout the last few weeks of like when I felt that ease and it was like doing whatever steps that I knew I could do, you know, for just these little steps that actually help so much to be able to handle the bigger stuff out there.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Maybe one person. I'm looking at the time.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Tara. I think we can all relate to that right now. Yeah.
I think for me, I thought it was going to be similar to her where it was in my lower body, but for some reason there's a lot that happened this week and it's more here. It just feels like it's stuck. Like I can't move it. So yeah, that's kind of weird for me because usually it's in my lower part, but for some reason it's just like right here.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
And that's why it's so good to, you know, always like give yourself this kind of checking in, because it does change, and situation obviously changes, and it, you know, it's like a constant learning, like, oh, well, now in this situation, what is this that's coming up?
I guess I realized that too. It's like people who, I mean, usually, you know, you like somebody when you first meet them usually, but people who that can be over dramatic, it's probably people who are beating their heads against the wall and not listening to themselves, and they just always attract that over and over again, and they're not listening to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like, yeah, I guess you could see that as people as not listening to your body.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think I've definitely had once or twice of that where I'm not listening, and it just seems like why is it's always dramatic. Life has to be so dramatic. So yeah, that totally makes sense.
One of the sorry. One of the things I've heard from clients that avoid feeling, and this happens a lot with not just obesity and overeating, but all kinds of patterns of kind of behaviors that might not be so good for our health. We all have our own version. But I've seen a common belief a lot of people have that if I feel the pain, it'll get bigger, bigger, and bigger, and I will go down a hole into horrible pain and it'll never come out. And we're actually not wired like that. We're wired that if we feel, then message received, release. But so breaking that misconception that if we feel our pain, we'll get stuck in it forever, which is the next exercise. We're gonna do something, it's a somatic therapy. I don't know if who's heard of Peter Levine? He's an expert in trauma healing. He's super famous in the whole trauma healing world. And so he and this woman, Maggie Phillips, they're both PhDs. They wrote a book called Freedom from Pain. And this applies to both physical and emotional pain. And I learned this really great process that I've kind of adapted and made my own in certain ways, but I use it a lot for myself and with clients. And it's really a great tool to have. And I don't want to set up too many expectations for it. I'd rather you just go into it as an experience without preconceiving anything. And let's just be curious about what happens. And it doesn't really, your experience can be anything. There's no right or wrong. So let's just go ahead. It's another one where you close our eyes. We're going to be closing our eyes a couple times today here. So again, sitting up tall, close your eyes. All right. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go back to noticing all the sensations in your body. I like to say like you're looking at an abstract painting. So there's a whole symphony of sensation happening right now, and it's alive and it moves. And without overthinking, the first sensation that comes to you that is the most uncomfortable, whether because it's tight or stuck or actually full on painful, it could be any size area of your body, you're going to focus on that. So just 1, 2, 3, boom, whatever came to your mind, whatever you're seeing in your mind's eye is the most uncomfortable place in your body right now. You're going to focus all your attention, just like a child that's hurt that you love so much and you want to just hold it and be with it. You're not going to change it, or you're not going to try to do anything. All you're going to do is breathe and feel. If your mind gets distracted, it's okay. As soon as you notice you wander, just come right back to being with that part of you, breathing and feeling. Staying focused. Now you're going to shift your focus to a part of your body that feels either neutral or pleasurable, meaning there's no pain or discomfort in that part of your body. Everyone has somewhere. It can be an earlobe or a fingernail or elbow skin. It doesn't matter. Just find one place on your body, pick the first one that shows up, and you're going to focus all your attention on that part of your body as you breathe and feel. Staying focused. Continuing to stay focused. Right, now you're going to switch your focus back to the exact same part you first focused on that felt the most painful or uncomfortable or stuck. It doesn't matter if it feels less pain, more pain, or the same. You're going to go back to the exact same part of your body and focus on it as you breathe and feel. Stay with it. Focusing, breathing, and feeling. Stay with it. Switching your attention back to the either neutral or pleasurable part of your body, staying focused on how that part of your body feels as you breathe. This part of your body is the center of your world right now. Stay with it. Now you're going to switch your awareness to feeling both the part that was the most painful and the part that was easy or painless. And you're going to hold them both in your awareness simultaneously, like two children who are very different but who you love equally. And you're going to breathe and feel very slow breaths through your nose. Inhaling all the way down, fill up, expand your breath fully. Take a little pause. Slowly exhaling all the breath out, all the way out. And pause. Still feeling as you breathe, inhaling and feeling. And exhaling and feeling. Take 2 more breaths here. Now you're going to expand your awareness to your whole body. You're going to integrate these 2 parts back into your awareness of your full body. That orchestra of sensations. Feeling and embracing all of yourself right now. All of the sensations, which are simultaneously physical, emotional, and mental. There's no difference. Let's take about 3 more slow, deep breaths. Feeling all of you, holding all of you, being with all of you. Before we open our eyes, I'm going to let you know the next thing we're going to do as we open our eyes is we're all going to unmute our mics unless you're absolutely uncomfortable with it. If you would be willing, I'm going to call on each person based on what it says on the little black label on the screen. So some of you, it doesn't say your name. And I want you to just pick a couple words to describe what you're right now. And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to impress us or do anything right. Just whatever you're honestly, it doesn't, not a whole sentence, words, and then we'll invite more discussion after that. I want to hear everyone who's willing to say. Go ahead and open our eyes and right. I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna go in the order I see it on my screen. So, Anne, can you just a couple words?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I felt peaceful, and my hands were on my knees, and I never had noticed how good that felt before. So I was really feeling the warmth between my hands and my knees, and I was like, wow, that feels good.
Aw, I love that.
Yeah.
Gaia and Michael?
I feel, I guess I would say empowered. Yeah, that feels good. Empowered.
Oh, I feel was feeling very tight, so just feeling softer.
Mhm.
Softer. I like that. Like melted butter. Mom? Judy?
Very relaxed, less pain in the area that, in fact, no pain where I had concentrated my thoughts.
Love that. Jessica?
I felt really some a way that my body can be its own ally. I have a pretty live wire injury, and that I'm working to soothe and sort of love and calm down. And so that guide of connecting to another part of my body that is pain-free and strong and soothed and can be soothing, just opening up those two channels. Bit of a revelation.
Tracy, you're muted. Let me unmute you.
No wonder no one was responding. I mean, if you already spoke, mute yourself. Diane.
Relaxed and refreshed.
Yay. Amber.
You said me? It's going in and out. Sorry, I can't hear you. Whole? In my body that just kind of came together as a whole.
Can you say that last thing, Amber? I couldn't hear you.
Oh, like whole? Like,
oh,
yeah. I guess sometimes I just think of different parts of my body, but it kind of helped me just remind myself that it's all one.
oh.
Yeah.
Tara. I like the recipe.
I felt release of weight and acceptance.
Aw, sweet. Patty.
I just felt more calm, and I felt the heat in my hands, and I just felt heat in my hands and just calmness.
And then Halia, I don't know how to say your name right.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. It's just Holly. The A is my middle initial.
Got it. Halia.
Yeah. I noticed a lot of upper back pain. I haven't been working on my posture lately. My whole, like, when I focused in, my whole upper back started hurting. So I straightened up and made it feel a little bit better, but I didn't realize that was something in my body that was hurting.
Yeah.
So.
So you're able to respond to a need.
Yeah.
Ellen.
Hi. I was distracted because my cat decided to join in and he was right in my face the whole time, but I felt a lot of tension in my chest that I just didn't even I don't think I had noticed. Well, I knew that I didn't feel good, but I couldn't tell where it was coming from. So it was really nice to center in on, oh, it's right here, you know? So thanks. I feel better.
And then iPhone number 808, Golden Gate Bridge friend. The background. Hello. Yeah.
Oh, okay. When we went back and forth to the painful area to the non-pain, it made the pain go away when I was thinking about the non-pain area.
It's pretty fun. It's a magic trick. It's like,
yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Ina.
Well, my thoughts and emotions this last week have just been raging around in a torrent, a circle, but it just keeps focusing on my physical pain that I've been dealing with, and it's really just kind of clenched up with all the other stresses. So to me, it was like the waters stilled, and it really made me sad that I hadn't been paying attention to other parts of my body that, you know, were screaming to be loved, basically. So the pain didn't go away, but it just made me appreciate the rest of me.
Yeah. And it doesn't always, I like to not have an expectation of what it's going to do. It always does something. It can either make the pain go away. It can change your relationship to the pain, whether it's more awareness or like more of like a distance. It's not like so up on you, and it's not taking over so much. I mean, everyone has a different experience, but it pretty much does something every time. It's just a little different each time. And so if we don't have an expectation that it's going to do anything in particular, we create an opening to just kind of be curious and be like, what's going to happen when I do it this time? I do it pretty regularly, and so it's a tool I wanted to share with you guys, because you can do it on your own. And last but not least, Marta.
Oh, here I am. I was laying down and I felt so much pain, mostly in my knee, but then I felt the pain everywhere, and then I fell asleep. And then when you said, oh, I'm gonna ask everyone, I was like, holy smokes, I have to wake up and get myself back online.
Welcome back.
And I do feel a lot better now.
Okay, well, that's a good point. You can do it if you struggle with insomnia. That's a tool you can use to help yourself fall asleep, or if you're trying to nap, or if you're really off about something, or I mean, any uncomfortable situation or emotion or anything you feel resistance to that's happening that you wish were otherwise, you can use this.
And I just wanted to say one more thing. I think I fell asleep because this is maybe the first time where I felt like I can relax in this whole thing, because I was holding so strong all this time, and I was like, oh, I'm in their hands. I'm gonna relax.
Gotcha, Marta.
Thank you.
Right. So, yay, that was fun. Actually, I think we all got to express a lot. I'm going to pass the baton back to Skaya, and we're going to talk a little bit about cognitive reframing, which is just fancy talk for finding a better way to think about something so it doesn't feel so bad.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of us probably already have kind of experienced like that happening automatically a little bit, because I think that is something that, you know, we have a tendency to, you know, we want to feel good. We don't want to be down in the, you know, down in the dumps, so to speak. So we'll often kind of have these back and forths in our head that will help us to reframe. But basically, you know, we can do this conscientiously, just like we are using these practices to conscientiously face the fears and feel the pain. And, you know, instead of just trying to avoid it, or, you know, think that it's too big, too much, like I can't deal with that, so I'm going to just distract myself or avoid it or numb it out. By conscientiously feeling it and facing it, then we can also start to, you know, understand, like, well, what is that? Why is that painful to think that, you know? And it's generally painful because it's so untrue that it takes us into despair, right? And when we're in despair, it's like we're cut off from our internal power, or from our connection to the bigger part of ourself, the part of ourself that has resources, and that has community, and that has connection. So what I usually think for myself, like when I'm thinking, like for instance in mine, like it took me down that like rabbit hole of like the financial and the, you know, the fears, and like, you know, it's like the one painful thought would kind of lead to another and lead to another, and it's like this downward spiral like we talk about. And in that downward spiral, I just keep feeling more tension, more pain. It's like going down into my gut. I could feel where it is in my body. And I just feel totally disempowered when I'm thinking those thoughts. So because I let myself feel that, and I'm like, wow, this just doesn't feel good, I don't like this, it showed me like, well, maybe I can try seeing this in another way. Like, is there a way that I could spin this so that instead of going into that downward pain, I can actually give myself some relief, right? Like, I love how, Jessica, how you shared, you know, like you're really trying to give some relief and some love to this live wire, this nerve in your, you know, in your body. And it's the same way, like emotionally, it's like, well, how could I see this in a way that could bring me some relief? So cognitive reframing is simply recognizing the fact that our brains can focus on anything, right? And that's like our ability to focus on something is our power, right? Like Tracy took us into this exercise of like, okay, now choose to focus on a place that doesn't hurt. And many of us felt some form of relief when we did that, you know? So we do have this ability to choose what we focus on. And so this learning to listen is the first step in that. And then it's the choice of like, okay, now that I can feel that this hurts to think this or to see it this way, well, how else could I see it? What else could I focus on? You know? And so it's not bypassing it or trying to avoid it. It's literally choosing how you're putting your focus and like how you're seeing things. So for me in that, I was like, it's like my mind, when I focused on the part that didn't hurt, like I was automatically seeing the lighter side of things. You know, I was automatically seeing like, well, actually, like I'm okay financially, like, you know, everything is paused, so it's not a big deal. You know, everyone is going through this. Like I was starting to see like the things that weren't so doom and gloom, right? And so we've all got these little, you know, these little storylines in our head that we could be choosing to focus on in any moment. Sometimes when we're on this little device, you know, it's oftentimes showing us some of our worst case scenario fears, and it's so easy to go down those rabbit holes. So again, if that happens, which it will, you know, you just feel it and like, oh, where is that landing? Wow, okay, I'm checking in. Ooh, that doesn't really feel really good. So how else can I think about this? You know, and sometimes, you know, in certain situations that can be really hard to, you know, to climb out of those holes. So sometimes it is helpful to have a friend you can talk to. And it can be helpful just to like read something that's inspiring for you, or listen to one of your favorite, you know, TED Talks or something on YouTube that inspires you, something that can just like get you out of that, you know, sort of downward spiral feeling, so that then it like loosens you up to be able to then start to see things differently. So even like Marta said, like taking a nap, like that can actually be really helpful. Like just take a break, get quiet, you know, pass out for a little while, and then all of a sudden you're back and you're like, okay, I reset. Okay, now how do I want to feel? You know, I want to feel better. So how can I do that? Well, how can I think about this situation? You know?
And I think Sky and I, we'd like to emphasize that it's not bad to have negative thoughts or negative emotions or negative feelings. It's natural, especially in this situation. It's totally natural. It is not a failure if you go down, if you spiral down. As long as you have the tools, you can always spiral back up. So this isn't like it's a one-way trip, you know. It's like we're going to go back and forth in different degrees our whole lives. So it's important just to have tools that as you're like, oh, I'm in a downward spiral, catch it sooner, and then feel your way free first. Shift your awareness first, get in your body first. So go bottom up first. Then when you've really dealt with the emotion, the raw human emotion, and that's where that little child in you has been felt and heard and like placated, then that's a good time to start focusing, you know, your thoughts and being like, what are these thoughts I'm having that feel like crap? Like, what am I believing? You know, like Sky, you know, share some of your beliefs that you were having and how you reframe them.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it's when all of a sudden, well, you know, just to back up a little bit, like Michael and I have been working really hard this last like year and a half to pay for a renovation that we're doing. And it's part of our bigger vision of what we're creating. And we're really excited about it, but then to all of a sudden be like ordered to stop working is kind of like, it's like, and I have plenty of tools, like, okay, I'm trusting, but then there's still, it's like that little cloud that's kind of like following you around in the day. And like, if you just kind of ignore it, it starts to get like bigger and bigger, and it can take you down this rabbit hole of like, okay, well, the economy is going to go down. We're going to go into the Great Depression, and there's not going to be any customers. And, it's like all of these things can just start to snowball and feel really heavy and really scary and really very real. And yet here I am in this moment, and I'm like totally taken care of. I love that I have a home. I love that I have land to go walk out on. It's like everything, if I'm really honest with myself, is actually quite good right now. And I'm actually really loving this break from that work that we were doing, and I also feel really empowered with other things that I've actually been wanting to do for work that I just wasn't, because I was so busy, trying to pay for this remodel, that I just wasn't quite, doing the things I really wanted to do. So it's like, for me, the whole situation is like calling for this reframe that, when I allow it, it feels really nice, and it feels very empowering. Like, okay, well, this is actually like a nice break and a nice, change of pace. And it's giving me the chance to actually, trust that I can be taken care of no matter what work that, is coming. Like, there's many forms of work that can come. So I think that the danger is when we don't actually like listen, or like when we just let that little, like when we try to just avoid that little, negative thought loop or whatever, and we just try to be like, oh, that doesn't feel good. Like, I don't want to feel that, so I'm going to go do this and ignore it. And instead, I just find it so much more helpful to like, be like, okay, you're a part of myself. Like, what do you need? Like, what are you asking for? And it takes that like going into it and feeling it and embodying it, and then being able to like start to actually like work through the story and choose like, well, how do I actually want to see this? I don't want to just be all doom and gloom. Like, that doesn't feel good. That doesn't feel very empowering. I want to feel, empowered to be able to see this as an opportunity for myself and for the community, for our nation, for the world even. So, yeah. What about you, Tracy? What was your process with this?
By the way, we're modeling this to you because we're going to ask you to. So I'm going to pick, like, actually, I normally would have picked what Skya said, where I was saying, like, who's going to want to hire, like, a health consultant during a pandemic because everyone's all freaked out about toilet paper. They're not going to want to work on their health. And then I realized, wait a minute, people are still sick. Like, I'm having people, like someone just now was diagnosed with a horrible, painful autoimmune disease, like one almost no one knows about, but it's excruciating. And this is like, it's a very scary time to be having a health problem when you're not supposed to really, you have to be careful about going into medical environments, just trying to stay out of the hospital. So anyway, and there are people who also have more time and who haven't lost their income and could really use this window to really make some major life changes so they can come out the other side having a better life. Like, you can have better health and more joy and more tools. Like, taking this time is like instead of lockdown, as a retreat it's a retreat so that we can like really look at our lives and redesign our lives. Thanks, Jess. So we can redesign our lives and come out on the other side of it better. So like, there are people feel that way, and I just need to allow them to come into my world. And one more thing that came up for me is I'm single and I don't have a pet. Like, I'd love to have a cat sticking its butt in my face right now. So I'm like jealous of Ellen over there, but I would love to have a pet. I would love to have a boyfriend, right? Yeah. I'd love to have a boyfriend right now, a healthy relationship, so like, I was feeling lonely. I do have roommates, so it's good to see them. We wave from a distance, we don't touch each other, but I was really worried about, because if I go in my world, I'm an extrovert. So if I isolate for too long, be too much of a workaholic, and I don't have 3D interaction with humans, then I tend to get a little depressed and anxious and run down and just sad. And so but the way I looked at it, I was like, number one, I love human connection. I still have friendships, and I've kind of cobbled together. I can go on a bike ride or a walk and see humans. I've actually seen Anne walking around the neighborhood. She lives in my neighborhood, and I'm always happy to see Anne, whether I'm driving. Usually I'm driving by, but if I were walking, I'd be really happy to see Anne. And so I can see real humans in 3D on the beach, walking around or on a hike. and then I can talk to my friends. And I also just happened to I thought, you know what, I bet what's different about online dating? I bet people are still doing that, because I haven't really done that. And I was like curious, like, what's that like right now? So I started reading these articles that people are having to have video calls instead of in-person dates. And they're actually having to have conversations and get to know each other before all the hormones, they can smell each other's pheromones, you know? So that's kind of cool. I'm like, well, maybe I'll try that, you know, and see what happens. So anyway, but the fear, I had to first feel what's this deep sadness? It's fear of alienation, of loneliness, of being cut off from human contact, of like those human animal studies where they alienate animals from their mother or their tribe, and then they get all sickly and depressed, and your heart breaks for them. I was like, I'm going to be like that caged animal in the laboratory, but that's not what my real experience is. So I just had to rethink, how can I get these needs met in a way that isn't with apocalyptic thinking, you know? So now, Skya, we're going to let everybody kind of do that, right?
Yeah. If you feel like you want to just share your process of maybe like talking yourself into feeling better, or reframing, you know, your situation or your fears, like we open that up to you.
Maybe give them time to think about it.
You want, no pressure.
So maybe just think of like, maybe we could think of like, what's your worst fear around this whole thing? Like, what, it could be money, it could be emotional, social distancing, it could be fear of the virus, or worried about someone else's health, worried about someone else getting it or yourself getting it. Okay, Anne.
One of my fears is not being with my mom, who lives in Florida, and she's 87 and a half with a lot of health problems. So my fear is that if she caught this, I couldn't be with her, and I wouldn't be able to be with her when she was dying. But
so sad.
So sad when I read about that. So the one good thing is I'm calling her more. You know, we're connecting a little more. She has 4 daughters, so we're all taking turns calling her a lot. So we're connecting like that. So that's one good thing from my fear.
And she also may not die while this is happening, right?
Right. I hope so. I hope she doesn't.
I hope she doesn't. Anyone else?
Ellen, did you have a hand up?
I did,
yeah.
But now I forgot what I was going to say. Oh. What was the question?
Wait, you were muted, Trace.
Your biggest fear around this whole COVID-19 business, and how do you frame it?
I guess I'm a nanny and an outdoor educator, and my classes have been canceled and my job is on hold, and so it's financial primarily for me. Also just don't want to get sick. I think that's a big one. But I also have a really good mindset about that. I'm like, I'm going to stay healthy. I'm going to like imagine global immunity and immunity for myself and my loved ones, and stay connected. So I'm doing pretty good. I was a hermit last year for a whole year for reasons that we won't get into now, but I have been in training for this, I think, for a really long time. So yeah, that's the biggest fear. You know, and also that people that I know that are in the older age set, you know, that they're alone. That makes me really sad, that I can't go visit my friends that are in the rest home.
And if your camera's off and you want to share, just unmute yourself and we'll kind of see that happen, and you can talk. Ina or Patty want to talk.
You know, for me.
Judy, you're gonna have to.
No, Judy, she's had her mic off the whole time. I don't know why it's happening.
And I've turned my computer off. Never mind, it's okay. Let me turn my back on. Does that help? I don't know.
Echo on yours. Can you mute yours, Diane? And wait.
It's been muted.
Yeah, no, she's good over. That worked the first day. It didn't work yesterday, but let's try it one more time.
I was going to say that throughout my life, people have said, can we just let the world stop and take a moment? And that's kind of what's happened. We reset. And last week, my friends on Facebook were saying, well, I don't know anybody that has this. Does anybody know? Well, today it's beginning to hit. Several people I know have it. A couple are in intensive care. So I guess my fear is I've done real well with this, but now it's really hitting home that most of my friends are in that group. My sister here too.
Yeah.
And it's my fear and my sadness is that I know now that I'm going to lose some people that I care about, and I don't know who they are, but that's just going to be a reality we're going to have to deal with. So that's my fear.
Is there anything that comforts you that you can, a way you can reframe with your devotional life, or is there anything that comforts you?
Well, most of my friends are strong in their faith, and I think they're going to be comforted with that if they are the ones that die and they have families, whether they can get to them or not. And I'm at peace with my relationships. I can't think of anybody I need to hurry out and make peace with. So that's a comfort to know that my relationships are positive with my friends.
Yeah, that's awesome. How many more you think, Skaya?
Probably do a couple more. Yeah, Jessica.
I'm glad Diane shared. Yay.
Thank you.
Well, I went out today and met my neighbors. Yeah, just took a walk down the road and they were in their yard, and I introduced myself, they introduced themselves, and that never would have happened except for everybody's quarantine. So there's good stuff. Yes. And I see the musicians of the world are uniting and putting out videos and YouTubes, and where they're all playing separately, but they're playing the same and from their heart. And I think that's just a beautiful vibration that they're sending around to all of us who need that right now. I just see that it's our opportunity to get to know each other in a new way, get to know ourselves, learn how to sit in the stillness, and just relax. And wow, I mean, really, I think there's going to be reverberations of this for a long time, really. I mean, of course, there's the sadness and the suffering, but I watched a show the other night on the influenza epidemic of 1918. And, they had no idea what was coming. They didn't know where it was coming from, how it was happening. All they knew was people. I mean, I think they lost 30 million people around the world from that one. And we're just so much smarter about everything now if we're all cooperating and doing what we need to do to stop this thing from eating us up, really. So I'm encouraged by our level of intelligence, our level of heart that's happening, that we can do this video thing. I mean, this is like a miracle as far as I'm concerned. I mean, wow. So I can see all of you. I'm meeting new people this way. I'm hearing from old friends. I mean, really, I'm loving it, gotta say.
Thanks, Erlyn.
I have something.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me?
Marta, go ahead.
I didn't think I had anything, or I didn't think I had any fears, but then now that we're talking, I felt that my big fear, I guess, is like I thrive on movement and constant travel, and I get energy from moving my body and all that, and then realize that, oh my God, I'm terrified that I'm not gonna get to do this right now. And then it seems like a double whammy. I just got sick too, so I'm like super super grounded in where I'm, laying down and stuff, and I'm like, oh wow, I get to tap into another quality. I am expanding what I can get energy from. It's not. It's my limiting belief that I get energy from the outside. What if I can get it from the inside?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Big insight that happened just now, just with you guys.
Wow, thank you. Jessica?
Yeah, let's see. I think I am unmuted. The most terrifying opportunity that's happening now is a bit of what I'm experiencing, I think, as a bit of a growth spurt. I am very close to my mom. It's always been like the two of us, and she remarried, and she had a whole nother family, and I have a sibling from that family, etc. But I'm like Tracy was mentioning, social distancing in solo, without even any animals, which I love the animals so much. So there's some fear and some challenges around really feeling into being alone, and how am I taking this opportunity to go inside further with myself and do the healing work that I've really built a support system and gathered resources, including working with Skaya and Dr. Tracy. But emotionally, I've always been very connected to having a mom who is kind of my a real guiding light, and there's some changes with her that are happening around some mental stuff that is a big headline. So I'm trying to stay as clean as possible, so if I do need to go to where she is, I can. But with that landscape happening, I am finding out what it is to be as self-supportive and sustaining and resourcing as I can. And I have an amazing circle and a community of my brujas and my friends and various folks in this community, and we are resourcing ourselves in some way. But at the end of the day, it's I'm really seeing that this is I'm having a growth spurt, and it's kind of terrifying in some ways, and long overdue in some other ways too. So there's that. But I'm rocked. I'm definitely rocked, and so yeah.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
What's Trace?
I was just saying, I'm hearing a lot of just scenarios of like things we're grateful for in spite of some of the stuff that isn't so fun. Is everyone noticing things that they think are kind of cool about it? Like,
yeah. It's an artist retreat.
I like to hear a couple just random things that aren't we don't have a lot of time. So without going into a long story, like something like popcorn style that people could share that they think is cool. Like, whatever, like the beaches are empty, or, I'm riding my bike more now, or anything. Yeah. And you have to turn your mic off if you want to share. Yeah. Anne.
Everybody's out walking and being really nice to each other. So we wave and smile across the street from each other, and people that never said hi to each other, now we're all connecting from the social distance. It's really cool.
Yeah, awesome. That's a good example. And any other examples?
Yeah, I can take yoga classes that are not local here, so anywhere.
The studio I teach at, just for fun on the side, is live streaming. So I've been doing my first video yoga classes. I've never done that before. Sky and I hadn't really done webinars before either. We've been wanting to for years, and we were just not getting around to it. So
I'm getting lots of projects done that I thought I would never get done until I was 80, like scrapbooking and going through my photos and just kind of stuff that's way in the back of the closet, and that's all kind of neat. Also, I've noticed that people who I do see are extremely happy to have any kind of human interaction, and that kind of gives me hope.
It's like we're going back in time, because when I was a kid, that's how it was all the time.
Right.
And then it just got so sped up, and everybody got so on the rat wheel, you know, that we've gone back in time, and it's lovely. It's human, much more human.
Yeah, I think people are being more appreciated. The farmers, the people who risk their lives. I see a lot of that on social media. People really appreciating those people, the essential people. Been, you know, here in Hawaii too, especially. It's like farmers are, at least some of them are overwhelmed by how many people are buying from them, because people realizing that we need to be more self-sufficient, sustainable, and so I'm hoping that this will definitely do that. Will kind of shift people's viewpoint of it.
Patty, did you have something?
Yeah, Patty.
Oh, hey. Hi, everybody. So I finally feel like I have a chance to slow down, because I'm used to doing so many things all the time and filling up my plate with so many things to do that I can finally now get to all the projects that I do have at home. And because my family lives in New York and I live in Hawaii, I was able to do a Zoom meeting today with all of them. So I'm happy that we could all see each other all at the same time and talk like we used to when we all lived together. So that was nice to do on a Sunday. So that was nice.
I'm really enjoying starting a garden. There's a raised bed in my backyard. There's a lemon tree I've been able to give people lemon from. The lime tree. There's a little teeny tiny little east facing deck. Ish deck. That's like a generous term for what it is. It's not exactly a deck. It's like I don't know what it. But I have you know, kind of some flower boxes that I just put. Got really excellent soil in, and a set of spinach starters, and I have some kale starters for the other flower box, and then I'll put some things in the backyard as well. So that's revelatory. That's the beautiful slowdown and extremely resourcing in so many ways. I have little babies out there. I'm checking on my little babies.
Hey Tara, you're a farmer. What's that like? How's this changed for you?
Yeah, I appreciated the farmers being mentioned. It's been ups and downs. You know, we have a CSA, community support agriculture, so we lost. It's in a retail distributor, so they closed, so we lost that. But the influx of people just valuing, like people are recognizing the value of sustainable living, and especially living on an island. We live on Oahu as well, and so being recognized and appreciated, and you know, being able to drop off food to my mom, and that so she doesn't have to go grocery shopping, you know, and go into the higher risk areas. So yeah, I really appreciate the support flowing in. And just since I am unmuted, the other thing is just the creativity, like having time and space. Like I'm I have a 5-year-old son, and most of my time is like taking him to all of his functions, and like actually being able to just be home. And I have blue fingers because we tie-dyed, and you know, like just so many different crafts we're doing. So that's been really fun and good to like help get all the excess anxious energy out, and you know, move and dance, and yeah.
Gaia.
Yay for farmers.
I live in a small town in the foothills in Northern California, and it's been really beautiful to see people really step up to support the people who don't have work or who are, you know, now out of work, and a lot of the local small businesses and restaurants and things like that. Like, people are really doing a lot to support where they can. So.
And then, Sky, do we want to, or do you think we're ready to wrap up for that last little thing have people do?
Yeah, what was that exactly?
Setting a new intention for how we want our lives to be different on the other end of this.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, so why don't we just take a minute to maybe close our eyes and connect back internally and just let ourselves set a new intention for how we want our lives to be different on the other end of this situation. So a lot of change happening. We know that there's going to be a lot of growth for ourselves and each other and our communities. And so maybe just feeling an intention that you'd like to create. It can be specific or it can be a general feeling. And maybe now just taking it from our head down into our heart. Maybe crossing your hands. Bring your hands together at your heart. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for being you.
And are we going to let them share a little bit, or?
Sure, yeah. Yeah, sorry, I thought you were wanting to wrap up.
Oh, I mean by 3:30. Or
sorry, I'm not watching the clock. Okay.
And for once, I'm being responsible.
Yeah.
Usually, but like Tracy, wrap up. So again, I know it's. I'm the lots of details, words, but if you like, just go around and Sky, do you want to call any, or do you want me to?
Yeah, I can do it.
Yeah, just say, like briefly, as briefly as you can, how you would like to be better or different at the end of this experience. It could be your health, something, your career, something about relationships, anything.
All right, I'm gonna start with the top of the list. Ellen, what do you got?
Oh man. Well, I've been working on ascending for a long time. I've been like in the spiritual community, various places, and doing things for 20, 30 years. But like, I feel like now is an opportunity for us to shift into a much higher octave, to upgrade everything collectively as a race, as a world. And so I see it as a big opportunity, and I'm not going to waste it. So I'm getting busy, and this is one of the first things I'm doing, and I'm trying to get on board with technology because that's always been like my little bugaboo. So anyway, much love to all of you. I have to go, and thank you so much. I'll see you all. All right. Cheers. Bye.
Bye, Ellen.
All right, Jessica, what do you got?
Yeah. The intention I set was, again, sort of bringing some my sort of physical and nutritional resourcing to a primary place. I can fill up my time with a lot of different community and kind of outward facing, even at this time, like digital share, kind of music, outward facing. That's very resourcing, but I will let my my physical sequences that I really need to do daily be the last thing I do in the day. And so my intention is to resource and bring those up to the first thing,
Beautiful.
and then let the rest of
making your priority and letting everything else fall into place.
That's right.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
That's right.
And how about you, Tracy?
We're going to be rebranding our business. Beautiful Paradise was all about food, but we're about so much more now. And so I'll still have chef services on Oahu that will be separate. And we don't have all the details hammered out, but we have a group program, like small, intimate groups of 5 to 10 people. It's called Transform Your Health and Your Life in 6 Weeks Kickstart program. We're really excited about it. It has a little bit of one-on-one support and intimate group support. And then we have custom one-on-one programs. I'm really excited about just working with people and like anyone who wants to transform their life in a short amount of time. Like use this window to prioritize their self-care, like Jessica was saying. That I want to be in service to that. And I also want to get over my fear of writing articles and getting published, or like even contacting the local news desk and like showing up in ways where Guy and I tend to hide a little bit. But I think I want to serve people. I want to help people. And I just want to stop being so scared of failure that I hide. So not the other side of this, like not hiding.
Beautiful. Thank you. I love that. All right. How about Anne?
Well, just generally, I want to be kinder to everyone and all animals and make more connections in my life. And one practical thing I'm doing, which I've thought of for a long time, is I'm starting a book club of neighbors. So our neighbors, we women, are going to connect through that. So that's pretty cool. That's all.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Diane?
I'll have to scoot over.
Yeah, you gotta scoot over to Judy's. And then Judy, you can go after her. So.
One of the things I'm getting out of this is that people are going to realize how important freedom is. Because we've all been contained and really willfully given up some of our freedoms. And Tracy can tell you I'm very politically involved, and I think that probably what I want to do is help people realize and really internalize how important our freedoms are.
Thank you. How about you, Judy?
Well, mine's practical. I want to get my heart fixed so that it's functioning properly. And then I want to find what my purpose for having survived all of this is. I know I've been left here for a reason, and I want to find something that I can do with my limitations, but something that can help my fellow man. Do something to justify my further existence. So.
I want her to be like a mom for rent, because I know so many people that don't have like moms that have been able to show up for them emotionally. And she's like such a good mom. And like I've had friends who just want to borrow her.
Well, I'm here. I'm ready for. I have a library card for you.
All right, thank you. Ina?
Here, let me unmute. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, so for me, it's been a little bit frustrating in that I'm one of those people that has to keep working right now because of my industry. So I really haven't had the time to process that I feel that I need. I'm really craving that perspective of stepping back. And with a lot of my physical issues, it's just been hard too, because I've been concentrating on the pain. But one thing that I am coming to is that I can't go for walks, so that's because of my pain issue. So I feel like a trapped animal. But on the flip side of it, I really am coming to this joyous conclusion that I can use this time while I'm healing to really go inwards, really practice, start learning meditation, and really thinking about things that have made me joyous and passionate in my past, and just kind of start writing that down and really rediscovering who I am internally. Because always in the past, if I was upset, I would go for a walk, I'd hike, I'd climb a mountain, I'd go travel the world. And so I'm trapped, but not really, right? Because I've been ignoring the inner part. So my goal for myself is to take the opportunity of this immobilization to really travel inwards, right? And really kind of come back to who I am passionately. So that's my grand goal for myself, and just for the world in general. I feel like we have become so selfish in our communities. we don't come together. We have kind of gotten lost from what evolutionary values were as humans evolved. And I think that's where so much sadness comes from. So I'm really hoping that people are, with all this reflection, that we'll come through on this, the other side, of people really understanding what's of value again and starting to rebuild what it means to be together. So that's it for me.
Awesome. Thanks. How about you, Patty?
For me, I'm so used to taking care of everyone else in my life, and I often neglect myself. So it's nice to be able to realize that I really do need to take care of myself as well, because I burn the candle at both ends. That's who I am. So it's this weekend especially, I've stayed in and done nothing except take care of my house, my health, cook food for me, which is something that I usually don't do because I'm always running to do everything else on the outside and worry about everybody else and take care of everybody else. So my intention is to just see, it's okay to take care of myself. It's okay. Because in the past, if I took care of myself, I felt like I was being selfish, and so I'm realizing that it's okay to take care of myself. So.
Beautiful. Thank you. Tara?
Yeah, I just want to keep the momentum, the slow pace momentum going of being able to take time to do the things that I really love, that I've now been taking time for, and doing the, following what my gifts are, and crafting and creating, and like just utilizing all this energy that's just been growing in me, and sharing that. And I feel like in sharing the gifts is what gives so much strength, not just to ourselves, but to each other. So yeah.
Thank you. Wow.
It made me make up a word, slow-mentum.
Love it. Irish 7413.
Hello. I think similar to Ina, like I've past year and a half just been multiple jobs and trying my best, working really hard, and not really taking care of myself. And even at this time, I think I've still not stopped, just trying to rack my brain of what we can do to change, but realizing that I need to work on myself. And if everybody took responsibility on working on themselves, then it would be a different world, because both, jobs have to do with trying to make, one of them is more about trying to make the world a better place. And if we can, if this helps, get everybody on the same page, then that would be great. So being an example, even for my parents too, being healthy and listening to themselves. And yeah, I think that's what I need to remember. It's just the only person you can control is yourself, and being the example can maybe do more than externally racking yourself, working yourself to the bone. So I think, yeah.
Thank you. And how about you, iPhone 808? Here, let me unmute you. Okay, there you are.
Okay, sorry. I think for me, it's reaching out more, like phone calls versus internet or FaceTime or whatever, checking on the elders and making sure that they have what they need. My mom, my parents are gone already, but there's still friends of mine that are older that, that I can go and do things for them if they can't. And so I've taken some time to offer that to them and check in with them, and hopefully continue to do that after all of this.
Thank you. And how about you, Marta?
It seems to me that this is such a time for all of us where we're we're having to really look in the face of where we are in our lives and where we are in our relationships and everything else. So it's a real moment of truth. And as it is for everybody personally, I hope it's gonna help us all build our world, or rebuild our world a little bit more truthfully, where we are more respectful towards each other and also other creatures on earth, and just kind of taking this time to see what's really real, and not only in a bad way, like we've been terrible, but also in a good way, acknowledge all the things that are truthful about us that are wonderful. So to be fair in that search for truth.
Beautiful. Thank you. And I guess I would add, for myself personally, I really relate to everything you all shared. It all kind of rang so true. I can definitely see where I've definitely been like hiding and not, and you know, it's like social media for me can sometimes give me like this feeling like I'm connecting with people, but then like I'm not really. And so it's like I kind of like what Erlen said about getting back to like the old time, because for me, like I realize that I really do enjoy connecting with people and like actually having conversations, and so I'm excited to be doing more of that, and to be just showing up more, you know, for those that I love and care about, and being a resource and being available. And so along with what Tracy said, just really excited for this new opportunity to shift my focus and make myself more available in a way where my gifts can be utilized by the community. And I think I always kind of held on to this idea that like people just don't care about their health, you know, like, because I think I came up against that so much in my profession, like people almost like trying to convince people that their health is like worth taking care of. But it seems like this situation and just where people are at now, it's like people are like, no, like we care, like what can we learn, like what can we do? And so I'm just really excited to be able to share the things that I've learned about how to take really good care of myself, and how much of a difference that can make even on like a medical health level. So yeah, I'm hopeful that just like the really hard challenges I've been through with my physical health, that whatever people out there are going through with this, and whatever we're all going through with this collectively, that it will bring like really profound growth and yeah, all the good things. So.
All right. So thank you guys so much for coming and opening up and being vulnerable and playing in our silly reindeer games. And we're going to be sending out just an audio replay, yesterday's as well. And whether you were there or not, you'll get it. And we'll send the link. We've got some questions about the PayPal link for, you know, it's donations optional. And we'll be sending that out with the replay either later today or early in the morning. And probably next time we'll probably make that button more available in more places. I think we're still getting over our shyness about accepting that suggestion. So, and then we're gonna, so we've been offering, we have these 20-minute slots for either people who are considering working with us or people who have concerns about COVID-19 that weren't covered in these webinars so far, something you didn't want to share in public. We're gonna be sending our schedule links, our Calendly links in the replays too. If anyone needs to schedule anything, we can talk to you. Anything else, Sky? Are we done?
Oh, that's it. I'm so grateful for all of you showing up and showing yourself, and thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
you.
Yeah, thank you. So good to see you, Skya and Michael, and always wonderful to see your beautiful face, Tracy.
And good to talk vegetables. Is that onions?
Oh yeah, this is garlic, and I just did onions. I was like, I'm getting too hungry. I gotta start cooking.
Probably be cooking on a webinar with us.
Yeah.
We approve.
Thank you. Oh, love you guys. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, Patty. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you.